Namanda, Namanda, Namamida, Namamida, Namanda, Namanda. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Nice to see everybody here on this nice, hot, warm Sunday morning. Please join me in God's show for this morning's opening reading. Everything in this world is a result of concurrence of causes and conditions, and everything disappears as these causes and conditions change and pass away. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. This morning's sutra chanting will begin with Sambu Jo on page 24, followed by Jusei Ge on page 93.
Namanda, Namamida, Namamida, Namanda, Namanda, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Please rise and join us in the Gatha, Namo Amida Butsu, on page 174 of your instruction. Continue to stand and turn to page 10 for the threefold refuge. Difficult is it to receive a human form, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Dharma of the Buddha, now we hear it. We do not cross over to the truth in the present life. In what life shall we cross over? Let us with sincerity and true reverence take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together with all sentient beings, awaken to the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together with all sentient beings, enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together with all sentient beings, become units in true accord and harmony with all things. The peerless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 You may be seated. I'll put this up here so you guys can hear me just a little bit better. Good morning once again, everybody.
Good morning.
So this morning's service, I was telling my daughter that it's going to be a little bit different. I guess all my services are kind of different. So you know me. So this morning will be just even more different. So please understand, you'll see why I'm doing what I'm doing. So for now, please join me in Gasho. The Dharma is the truth. The Dharma is the law of the universe. The heart of the Buddha Dharma is the power of infinite wisdom and compassion that has been operating throughout timeless time for the supreme purpose of enlightening all things.
In my religious consciousness, the powers personified and called Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So, this morning, I'm going to tell everybody a little story. It could be a little Christmas story. And that story is called, and you'll see why this is an amazing Buddhist Christmas story. I'm sure you guys have heard of it before. It is called How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So, like I said, bear with me. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers, nervously drumming, I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys will wake up bright and early, they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated was the noise, 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 noise. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, feast, feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch could stand in the least. And then they'd do something he'd like least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing, then stand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, sing, sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming, but how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch left in his throat, and he made a quick scenty, Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked, what a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer, the Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, get up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All the windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed on the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who's stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room and took every present. Popguns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorns, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags, and the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned up that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food with the chimney with glee. And now, Grinch the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small who. Little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought of a lie and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied, there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it down here. And he spitfuled the child, and he patted her head, and he got her a drink and sent her to bed. And Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup. He went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was a log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for other Who's mouses. It was 15:15 dawn, all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up to the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. Poo-poo to the Who's was Grinch-ishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, and I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two, then the Who's down at Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry very. He stared down at Whoville, the Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing out without presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming, it came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow stood puzzling and puzzling, how could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And when that happened then, well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. So that is the Grinch that we all know by Dr. Seuss. I love that story. So you're probably thinking, wow, David has really lost it. He's reading us the Grinch at a Buddhist temple. So what does the story about the Grinch even have to do with Buddhism? As a matter of fact, what does a Christmas story even have to do with Buddhism? Well, actually, it has to do with it a lot. So in the book, excuse me, Jodo Shinshu, a guide, on page 83, excuse me, the part covering the higher wisdom of Shinjin. When our attachment to self-centered effort is crushed and the Buddha's name reaches us, making us conscious of being bathed in his immeasurable light of higher wisdom, we become aware of the truth of our conventional self. This is not just a shallow human reflection, whether we are absolutely unable to know through our own efforts just how unclean and blind our hearts really are. Only when we are shown upon from outside ourselves and see ourselves mirrored in that light, only then for the first time are we able to see a complete picture of ourselves. The light of the Buddha's higher wisdom alone reaches to the very base of our being, allows us to see our delusion for what it is. This is because the Buddha's higher wisdom enters us fully and opens our hearts. Becoming aware of what we truly are is at the same time becoming aware of Amida Buddha's reality. Becoming aware of Amida Buddha's reality is at the same time becoming aware of the nature of our own conventional self. Thus, being given Amida Buddha's higher wisdom is also referred to as a higher wisdom of Shinjin. The important part is that Shinjin in the Jodo Shinshu teaching is the higher wisdom imparted us by Amida Buddha. So let's look at the Grinch. So here we have the Grinch. The Grinch was filled with so much hate for the Who's in Christmas that it caused his heart to shrink, showing just how unclean and blind his heart truly was. If we want to go back even further, if you haven't seen the movie, according to the movie, we'll look at cause and effect. The reason the Grinch was the way he was, well, he was already kind of mean, but he was bullied so bad as a kid that he just hated Christmas, because it was during Christmas time when he finally found this girl in his elementary school that he totally dug. He was like, wow, I totally like this girl. He made her something, he's going to give her a gift, and everybody picked on her except for that girl. And it just crushed him. And it made him filled with so much hate and anger that it just was unimaginable how much he despised the Who's. So the Grinch felt that all everyone cared about also was the materialistic items of the season. All these gifts, he thought, is what everybody only cares about. So going back to what I said, only when we are shown upon from outside ourselves and see ourselves mirrored in that light, only then for the first time are we able to see a complete picture of ourselves. The light of the Buddha's higher wisdom alone reaches us to the very base of our being. It allows us to see our delusion for what it is. This is because the Buddha's higher wisdom enters us fully and opens our hearts. So the compassion of Amida is always surrounding us. It doesn't matter if you're a Buddhist, non-Buddhist, or a Grinch. Compassion and wisdom are infinite. The Grinch was filled with that light of Amida when he heard the singing. This was not the reaction that he wanted or expected. These were Who's that knew that love, compassion, kindness, and being together are what truly mattered the most. This is why they sang with joy and not cried tears of sadness. So the Grinch became a new person that morning, and I guess you could even say in some sort of way he was enlightened. So during the holidays, all of us do this. We get caught up in the hustle and bustle of the holidays, the shopping, the craziness, that we forget all that we have learned as Buddhists. We forget to take a step back and remember what the holiday should mean to us as not only Buddhists, but as human beings. So in closing, I say this. So this story is a reminder that love conquers all. It is for everyone in our lives, from the tall to the small. Remembering and helping all those in need, instead of only wanting and showing your greed. So I end this talk with a smile on my face, as I say you all in my heart have a place. Happy holidays to you all. Please join me in God's shalom. When one has boarded this ship of great compassion and sailed out into the vast ocean of light, the winds of perfect virtue blow softly, and the waves of evil are transformed. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. Please rise and join me in the Gatha on Doksan 2 on page 220.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Butsu.
Namo. Thank you. May be seated. Are there any announcements? No announcements? Okay. Once again, please join me in Gasho. Oh, do we have enough? No, okay. Please join me in Gasho. The moment you entrust yourself to the inconceivable working of Amida's vow, so that the mind set upon saying the Nembutsu arises within you, you're immediately brought to share in the benefits of being grasped by Amida, never to be abandoned. Know that the primal vow of Amida makes no distinction between people, young and old, good and evil, only Shinjin is essential. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So this concludes, yes, we do have one announcement.
Yeah, sorry. Just wanted to thank everybody for the help and support from everybody for the Mochitsuki. That's everybody. So thank you for everybody's support.
Yes.
Just announcement that New Year's Eve service will be at 5 o'clock and then followed by ringing of the bell. And then New Year's Day service is at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock.
Yes. And my family will definitely be here for that, so we look forward to seeing everybody here. That concludes my service. I hope that everybody has a great holiday. I hope y'all don't go too crazy if you have last minute shopping to do like me and my daughter do, which we kind of messed up on. So, but please be safe out there. Please remember to be, just reminder of your community and the people in your community, your families and friends. Just also please take care of yourselves as well. That concludes today's service, and if you please step forward, we'll show up at this time.